Hi everyone, it is Catherine here from Ink Finger Cat from a very warm craft room. It's very sticky today. It's the 26th of June and I am on day 7 of Christmas in July. Obviously I film ahead of schedule where I can. Bit panicked, not as far ahead as I would want. It is incredibly warm in this room. I have been working all day at a desk over there. I've had a little lie down on the sofa. There is no air, so I've decided to just plough on. I've just finished off another card, which was actually day 5's because it needed to dry overnight, and I did most of the work yesterday. So today's theme, Christmas in July. Do you know what that is? Have you been to my channel before? As you will see, I'm not the most professional of YouTubers. Every July for the last 2 years, and then this year I have done Christmas in July, where I do a festive project every day with a video. Today's theme is a colour combination of red, green and gold. Fairly standard, isn't it? Traditional colours, red, green and gold. And I've already picked out all of the bits and pieces that I want to work with. So I think all that's left for me to say before I pop you in the overhead camera and start creating is thank you so much for watching my videos, really appreciated. If you want to see future videos, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. I love it when people talk to me via the comments, so please do leave me a comment below. And obviously like the video so that YouTube knows that you enjoyed the content. I think that's everything I normally say. Brain's not really working, it's very much melted. Okay, enough whinging, let's get crafting. So again, quick apology if you can hear background noise during the voiceover recording. It is hot, all the windows are open, fans are going, there'll be cars going past and all the rest of it. So apologies in advance. So I decided I wanted to use the Snow-Capped Holidays dies to create the focal image for this card. Didn't really know what I was going to do, whether I was going to make the little birdhouse, or just some foliage and the birds. I ended up just foliage and birds, but yeah, I was undecided at first as to what to do. So there's a lot of die cutting on this particular card, so I will speed up bits of it to be even more than my normal ×4. But I'm basically sorting out the dies into what they belong to, whether they're the greenery, whether they're greenery that needs to not be green, or the birds, or the little birdhouse. As I say, I don't end up using the birdhouse. I am using my Diamond Press folder through my grandma keys, and it's incredibly warped now, this particular one. They are bringing out some new sort of self-healing type ones where you warm them up or you heat them up and it goes back to shape, so I'm gonna have to test those out, aren't I? But yeah, this particular little folder is incredibly used now. I have been doing a lot of work on not just obviously these Christmas in July projects, but have a lot of design team work going on, so there's been a lot of die cutting. I shouldn't have bingo wings is all I'll say. Right, so I've cut out all my green bits and pieces. Now I'm going for the things that are brown, and I'm using this kind of like, I think it might be Cajun Craze cardstock, but it's kind of like an orangey brown, and I'm going to ink things up so that they don't stay the orangey colour necessarily, but I thought that would be quite a nice way of doing it. Now I must admit, I have run out of repositional tape or washi tape for keeping my dies in place. So there is a little bit of fiddling going on. Must order myself some to come this weekend if possible, so that I can carry on recording, because it is getting a bit messy trying to die cut anything that needs precision. So yeah, I do get a few bits where the dies slide around in the machine. Not ideal. Anyway, cutting out all the brown pieces out of this Cajun Craze. I did a few of those sort of sprigs. I wasn't really thinking, I need certain numbers of things. I was just cutting out multiples, and I knew that I would make whatever I used work. Now we're on to the birds, and we're going for some red-bodied birds. Now these birds I think are designed to be cardinals, which we don't have in the UK, so I decided not to give them their little sort of tufty crown, but I do die cut out all the rest of it, and they are red birds. I suppose a little reminiscent of robins, but I don't. Robins obviously have a brown body and a red tummy, so they're not exactly the same. So I cut all of those out of, I think it's real red, and then I cut the wings and some other elements for the birds out of the cherry cobbler kind of darker red cardstock. And then I have a little fiddle around and decide that I want, I've realised I've not got any gold at this point, so I am going through some of my stash, and I pulled out this sort of crumb cake. Again, I'm going to ink it up so it's not quite as light, but I'm going to do a couple of bits for the birds' heads and their feet out of the crumb cake. And then I'm like, right, what else do I need to do? So I pulled out some shiny, glittery green. This is from Alex Siberia cardstock. So it's a little bit thinner than I would normally use for glitter cardstock, but it die cuts beautifully. And I just did 2 leaves in the glitter because I just thought, well, it is a Christmas card after all, why would we not have glittery leaves? And then I am doing the snow out of white. I did that out of vellum as well at the same time, but I didn't end up using the vellum at all. So you'll see that I did die cut both. Because it's thin, I figured I could get away with it, but I end up just using the white for the snow. And now I'm working out, I've not got any gold yet, so I've pulled out this angel hair paper. I have used it on a few cards recently. Probably, I don't know how many of them have made it into videos because I can't remember what I've done them on. Might have been design team projects. But I have been trying to pull that out quite often. I've had it for years. It was actually, I think, some gift wrap, which is why it's kind of folded. And yeah, I just use little bits of it here and there sometimes just to jazz up my cards. So this is where I start adding ink. So I start with the early espresso and adding that to those sort of like sticky sprigs that I've cut, to the branch, and then also quite heavily to one of the layers of the pine cone and lighter on the other layer. And then I also did the birds' faces as well, and I did a little bit of the wings, so just towards the where the wings would touch the body. I think it's wings and tails, and then of course the feet for the birds also needed darkening. So that was what I used the yellow espresso for. Then I used cherry cobbler ink in order to just add a little bit of definition and shading to the bodies of the birds. Again, I tried to keep it all over to one side, so the other side is lighter. And then I started going in with a couple of different greens. So I started off with gumball green for these pieces. Again, I just think that adding the ink to die cuts just really helps to change them up a little bit, give them a little bit of shading, a little bit of reality. For these ones, I did gumball green first, and then went in with mossy meadow just to the edges of these holly leaves and to the bottom of those other sprigs. And I think that's me done with all of my inking. So gave it a good spritz, give it a clean. Red ink obviously stains photopolymer really quickly, so that's the case. It doesn't matter, it's still operational. And now it is time to glue things together. And to be honest, I didn't plan it out in my head how I wanted it to look. I just started building, and maybe it's because of the heat, my brain's not working brilliantly. Planning is not currently something that is my strong suit when I'm feeling so dehydrated from the humidity, and my hay fever, you could probably hear now, is starting to really kick off as well. Oh, the joys of summer. I try not to complain, but I don't think it's possible to not complain when it's this hot and we're just not made for it. Okay, now sticking together the little sprigs with the berries on. The berries I didn't do any shading to. I decided I couldn't be bothered. They were only tiny. It'll be absolutely fine. I just add the one sprig of the berries to my little cluster of my branch. But you can see here I'm kind of following the way that the branch works, so it's from the right to the left. And I'm kind of placing leaves and the things in that direction. And all I'm doing is creating the little cluster. Now it's time to add all of the pieces of my bird together to create my bird. It takes me a little while and a little look at the instructions to remember which of these pieces is actually the bird's wing that sits on the front. So yeah, sometimes I have to look at the instructions to go, which piece goes with which? Now there are these tiny pieces, and what I needed to have done really was to cut out another bit of the bird's face dyes, again with black. Instead I add a little bit of black ink into the bird's face area where the where the kind of like the eye bit is. I hope that makes sense. I didn't actually have a very good black pen there. It's running out of ink, so I ended up throwing it away on the second one and going with a different pen. It's just enough to add a little touch of black and darkness to that area, because I couldn't be bothered die cutting anymore at this point. Again, you know, there's been a lot of die cutting the last few days. My arms are feeling it. Okay, so here we go, going in with a different pen that's got a bit more ink in it. And I did mess up slightly. So the little cheek element had moved and taken some of the ink off the face of the bird. I decided it didn't really matter. I just went over it with the brush, and it looks mottled, but it looks fine. Okay, now we're talking card construction. Now I've created that cluster, which, as I say, I hadn't really thought about what I was doing. I just built it as I went along. And now I'm going to create a few layers for that to sit on using that indigo blue tartan paper. I'm using Cherry Cobbler cardstock for the base, and I changed my mind about the tartan paper, but I'm creating here a panel for the green to sit on top, for the gold to sit on top. And yeah, when I flipped it over, I decided, actually, I think I prefer the other side with more green on it. It looked better to me. I think it would have been fine either way, but yeah, when I flicked it over, I was like, oh no, I like that more. So I decided I didn't want, however, that gold and green to be the direct background for the birds. It just felt a bit too busy and it needed something to just frame it a little bit better. So at that point I decided, right, I'm going to go with a red panel, and that, even though it's dark, probably doesn't look so good on the camera, but in real life it gave it more contrast, and you've just got that bit of gold poking out. So I'm just adding wet glue to quite a few of the bits and pieces where it was going to stick, and that's pretty much it, apart from my sentiment. I do obviously have to finish the inside of the card though. So I decided not to add any additional embellishment, no more shine. I've got those glitter leaves, I've got that bit of gold angel hair. I figured that was enough. So inside my card, I've added a panel of the cream so it coordinates with the sentiment. The sentiment is one that was already foiled and die cut and stacked up in my stash already. That's another Spellbinders one. And I'm just adding those bits of foliage that are left over, not all of them, but some of them, including the other berry one. So a bit more fiddling to be done. But yeah, I'm just adding those and one of the little strips of the tartan paper just to make the inside go with the front. And then as a last minute addition, I decided that it would look good if I also added another sentiment. But first of all, I stuck it in the card, just a little bit of the tape to stick it down. It's got a nice frame, it's a very cute design, and then I added that Merry Christmas to the inside as well. So a little bit more special on the inside and definitely coordinates with the outside. So here you go. Hope you enjoyed that. I really love this. It's kind of therapeutic to do all the die cutting and then the inking, but it is fiddly. It isn't something that you want to make millions of these cards because it is a bit fiddly, but you could do it in batch making for certain. Do all of your die cutting of all your red over and over and over again, all of your brown, etc. That's how you could do it. So please do subscribe if you want to see more videos. Give me a thumbs up. Do you like my little birdie card? And thanks so much for watching. Till next time. Bye bye.